Okay, so we're gonna do lab 2 today. The majority of it's gonna be using network scanner like Wireshark. I wanted to show you how you can run it in Windows. I know most of you have seen it before, but it's always good to review. And then we're gonna learn how to use it in Linux. I just feel like if you have a Linux system that you would use for other tools with, it's probably easier just to learn it on one centralized system, so it's easy, it's simple for you, right? Down the line. And you can make a virtual machine and add all your tools on there, so you just run it on command line. Or if the application have graphical user interface, which it does. So you can go to wireshark.org to download, and then once you download, you can install. It's available for multiple OSs. It is a network protocol analyzer, as we mentioned before. We're simply gonna look over the packets, things that are communicated across the network. So Wireshark, its purpose is these three things: to capture packets, to filter, and to help you visualize. Capturing packet will help us in detecting malware, detecting irregular traffic or anomalies, detecting attacks. So it is helpful just to monitor your network in general. So on your system, and I'm going to use my laptop for now, and then the other parts will switch over to the other computer. So on your system, you are going to type in Wireshark. Sorry, I'm on the... And you should have a bluefin icon app that's already installed. Okay. I hope everybody can have access. If you're getting a yellow prompt at the top, that just means that you cannot use that computer because their script failed on it somehow, or you can try to restart and log in. But so I'm not able to do that on my desktop because the script didn't work for my account. So I have to have them fix it. But I just checked. Most of you are able to do that, right?
I'm sorry, I was going to real quick. It's on our canvas on assignment.
No, it's on the computer. Just like how you open an app, search on the bottom bar.
Okay, Wireshark.
Yeah, just follow what I just did. So right here, type Wireshark, and then click on the app. Okay, you might get a prompt where it says fix the bugs or whatever. Just close that prompt, and you should get something like this for your interface. Now, I am on my laptop has Wi-Fi only. I don't have a local area network connection on my laptop, so I have to select Wi-Fi. But on, so when you get a prompt to fix the bug, close that, right? You should see this option, these options. These are your interfaces. That means that how it's gonna listen to the network. The listener is here, okay? Your ears are here, or the eyes of the app are here. So I'm going to have to click Wi-Fi, but you are going to choose the Ethernet. Okay, the option when you see the little wiggly line, that means that it can detect, right? So the NCAP, the NP cap tools or the drivers are installed on those. So, and then once you select, and on this step, what step am I on? So we have to leverage that. So you are going to select the Ethernet interface, and then you are going to click the blue fin at the top.
Ethernet 8.
Yeah. Should be one of the top ones. And then you're going to click the blue fin to start. You can also click capture and start capture, but easiest is use the button up here. Yeah, that's what it should be doing. And notice that I'm on the wireless network, even though it's part of the network. So I have slightly different output than you. And sometimes every system would have different output depending on the traffic that you're generating too, right? And then the current traffic. So what step did I just complete? I had completed step 3. And then you can generate your own traffic. I'm just gonna let you know that HTTP, a lot of the website has switched over to HTTPS, right? Secure HTTP. So when you are generating HTTP traffic now, if the site is hosted in HTTPS, they will forward it to HTTPS. In the case of InfoCern, they actually have an HTTPS website. So even if you visit this site, it's gonna forward it. You can see that in the traffic. So you can just open up the browser, or you can hold down your control key and click the link on your lab. And it's gonna use your default browser to open this up. The interesting thing is when you visit the site, right? If I copy this and then open another tab, I just want to show you this and paste it. You notice that it converts it to HTTPS. It's also the browser technology too, right? So what it's doing is even if you visited the HTTP, if that website is HTTPS available, it's gonna force it into HTTPS because it's more secure. So I just want you to know that when you're using that, you're trying to generate port 80 traffic, but it's still gonna load 443 instead, right? You're gonna see some of that. And this is something that we have changed over the years. So here I have you go visit an HTTP website. We're trying to generate port 80 traffic. You can wait a few minutes. So while we wait, let's talk about this so you know. The cool thing about Wireshark is number one, it has graphical user interface. It's user-friendly and they improve it a lot. It's open source, so it's free. You don't have to pay a ton of money for it. There are really great guides built within the documentation or the website, but it is color-coded, okay? Now, sometimes you might not see the color on this list, but, you know, it's general. So whenever you see the color light purple, that's TCP traffic, light blue, that's UDP traffic, right? We talked about TCP needs confirmation before it sends. UDP doesn't care, it just sends. And then the black are sometimes errors. Sometimes you also see this in reddish. Light green is your HTTP traffic. I think now they transition some of this to more of the common traffic that's not secure. Your light yellow is your window space. Remember we talked about SMB earlier, right? So that can be something that you can look out for. Your dark yellow is routing, and then your dark gray. But it does a good job with the statistic feature on it. So you can use statistic feature or the menu to select. When you look at the pane, you're gonna see the number, and these are the sequence. That's how it's got. Well, this is just the order of the capturing, right? First come, first gonna get listed. The brackets just indicate that it's part of another conversation. There's always the a timestamp, so the packet have some kind of information with the time. The source is the sender information. The destination is the receiver. The protocol, so that could be FTP, TCP, and so on. Most of the time you're gonna see it's under, if it's a protocol under the TCP, it will list that. Or if it's ARP. And then the length, this is just your packet length in bytes, okay? And on the larger packets, of course, the number is bigger. There's some information where it's just gonna show you the content, and a lot of the time you have to expand it to read the details of the packet. So on the bottom bytes, it's gonna represent the trailer or the byte size, some of the packet information in hexadecimal. Okay, so now let's come back to Wireshark and let's stop. And you can save the capture, right? In a very large network, you would see a lot of information, and we can filter out some information. we can look at specific conversation. Earlier, we mentioned this is the protocol, and when you click each of these tabs, it's gonna sort it for you, okay? And then there's some, when you see the arrow, you can always expand on it. So earlier we talked a little bit about this, and then the byte size. So it says scroll up to the first packet and then refer to the above table, or what type of first packet do you see? So I'm gonna, once I stop it, I'm gonna go all the way up. And the number is 1 here, and you see how there's a bracket that goes on mine. Yours might be the same, right? So if you see a little bracket that's included, and that could go longer, so you can always adjust this. You can pull this down, pull this up, you can change this, you know, whatever you like. So you can change the view pane.
How do you stop it?
Click the red button, the stop
This one?
button. Okay, so that means that it's part of this conversation, right? So if you click on it, if you double click it, you would see the detail of it, like the frame size, the frame information, the frame size, the source information, right? Internet protocol, user datagram protocol. This, you can see that it's UDP whenever it states this. If it's TCP, it will tell you TCP. And then the data information. So we can say that this packet is a UDP packet. It tells you the length information here, right? And if you want to, and the source, who's sending and who's receiving here. And I know it's a Cisco because it tells me right here. So that's an appliance talking. So that could be for, you know, the back connecting my system back to, there's conversation with the backbone systems, right? Or the network systems that's Cisco related. Any question? So look at your first packet, state what kind of protocol it is. If you can, you know, you can, if you want, you can state like, what's the packet length? So the point in this is to show you how you can look into a packet. Now, let's say that we want to list all the protocols that are the same, because you have a mix of information here, right? The type of protocols that are used, which ties to services on the network. So when you click on the tab, right, on your first view pane here, click the protocol, it's gonna sort it for you, right? So now I see all the purple ones. Those are the TLS version 1, and then the UDP. Remember the color? And so on. And this could go on, depends on how long you capture, right? So when you sort it, what it does is it puts all the protocols that are the same together, not necessarily in the same conversation, but the protocols that are the same together. So I see the ARP.
The source is the where it's coming from,
Yeah,
and that's their ID,
their addresses.
their address.
Yeah, either version 6 or version 4. So when you see like 10.11.111.64.206 like this, it's a version 4. When you're seeing, you know, version 6 addresses, it's usually like this.
So who's
What
normally
has-
on something like this?
Who are on something like this? Servers, routers, the DNS
So
servers.
this is actually seeing
It's
everything?
everybody in the network. So you seeing everybody in the network. It's like putting a camera and looking at all the streets and all the town and all the whole, like all the cars that are traveling through all the streets in the town. So you see
So it's
everybody
one
on
big
that
network?
segment.
Is that what it is?
I'm sorry?
It's one big network?
Yeah, of course it's one big
And
network.
That's just for this computer or for this?
It's what we're in right now, right? What you're connected to, that's what you're viewing. So let's say that I have in my car, I have a screen, and that screen's connected to a camera that's zooming in on all the streets in the town that's seeing all the car traveling through. So I'm seeing all the traffic coming through the town, but on my screen because I'm in that town. So you're in this network, you're able to view everybody that's connected.
So if you wanted to go to a specific one,
Yeah, you just look.
can you pinpoint one that you specifically know you wanna get? Or can you type it in, or you just have to keep scrolling to find that address?
What do you mean?
Like, in you say the camera viewing everybody, if you wanna view a specific place for a person or a business, could you type in there?
Yeah, so if you're scanning an individual, yes, you can.
You just have to know their, IP address?
You just have to know their IP address. That's correct. It's kind of like if I wanted to look into, why is that saying I'm on the, sorry, let me restart my app. If you just like, it's like if I want to identify a specific car, I have to know the license plate of that car, right?
Where would you type it in? And where in the address bar there?
Yeah, so when you scan, when you capturing, so I'm capturing everything on here, right? You can do you can set a target capture. So before you capture, you would need to set up your options and your preferences to capture.
Mm.
But normally, network scanner for this type of passive network scanner, you wanted to see what's going on, right? And then you can zone in on them specifically by looking at the packets. You don't have to specifically scan them. If you scan everybody, likely that they will show up. So if I wanted to see what are you doing at your house, I just need to connect to your wireless router. And then I scan everybody and I would know that, oh, maybe, your grandson is connecting to a game website or, things like that.
Well, so through the wireless then.
Through a connection in a network. It could, this network has wireless, which is what I'm on, but you're on the wired network. Okay, any question? You're welcome. So when we sort it by protocol tab, it's just, we click the protocol tab. And then, if you want to locate HTTP packets. So let me refresh. And then stop my capture again. I guess that was the bug, right? So you can go down and try to find HTTP. See, there's a port 80. So I got some of the green. So remembering port number and to the protocols is good. Okay. So you can find that. And then there's also statistic option, which we'll use later. And then I want you to, if you have a lot, that's okay, right? You can count these up. So for me, 2, 4, 6, but if you have more, if there's too many, you can just give a guesstimate, but we want to document this. And then when you click on the packet, you can look at the source of the address and the destination. So let's say that, you notice that HTTP is under TCP, right? So I wanted to click one of the light green one. And then I wanted to put down the source IP address, which is in my case, it's this. And then the destination IP address, which is this. And then the port is port 80. So your source port and your destination port is two different, right? You notice that when you're looking at the DST is the destination port and the source port is this value. So the source is the SRC, and then the destination is this. So if I'm visiting an HTTP website, it's gonna send out from this port and it's gonna enter this port. It's kind of like from your house, you're gonna leave from your front door, but when you arrive, let's say to the hotel, you're gonna enter from their side door, for example. And that's kind of like that, right? Ports are kind of like doors to really and a way for the system to communicate through that entry point. So your source port and your destination port. So leaving from my house, it will be that value, and then going into the destination, which is a different value. So that value is going to represent the service that is being provided by the host, right? So port 80, we know that that's HTTP. Okay, any question?
All the light greens are HTTP or the only ones light green?
Yeah, if you find the HTTP, if it's labeled HTTP, then that's a good one. But for me, I have, mine converted to HTTPS anyways, so I have to find the port 80 ones.
How do you find a port again?
How do I find a port? If you click the packet, it would tell you the source port and the destination port. You see the highlight right here? Yeah,
Yes.
and
So
it's
click
in
on
the,
packet.
yeah, you gotta double click the packet. And then sometime it would summarize that here for you. You see?
Yeah,
It tells me that it's going from here and it's to here. And then if you can find HTTP packet, that's a plus. You can double click it to see more HTTP information. All right,
is that a different port, the 54, 63, 15,
it's the length.
the length of?
Yeah, it's kind of like how big is your mail when it gets to your house? Is it in a small envelope? Is it a big package? Is
a
it
big package
an
that's going through that
envelope?
door?
That's, yeah, exactly. So there's different length in the communication. Some packets are bigger than other. And some of these packets are part of a conversation. You see the bracket right here? So that means that, like sending a bicycle is my analogy for all my classes. When you send, you have to take the pieces out. All the data are in pieces. And so you send a handlebar, a pedal, and so on. And when it gets before the system puts it back and show you the bicycle, it needs to look at the sequence for the packets, not these order number, but the sequence number on the packet. It's going to say, oh, this goes before this. And that's how the browser is able to use act as an application layer to present you the data.
How do you get that bracket?
It's just part of the conversation. Sometimes you see the conversation, right? It's in one conversation, so it has a bracket.
Oh, and it's colored the same.
So yeah, most of the time. But sometimes you would see network communications that are part of the same conversation. You can follow that conversation. Okay. If you took 40A, this is part of one of my labs, so it should look very familiar. Right? If you took 40A a while ago, I modified the lab and over time, but yeah, anyway. So you look at the HTTP information, and then you look at the port, you look at the payload size. Payload size is important. It plays a good role in an attack. Why? Anybody know?
Is it worth going after?
What is payload?
Yeah. Well, what you do?
Size?
Size of payload size. What's payload size? Ask Google what payload is. So it's important to record the payload. So let's look at that. So when you click the TCP information, whenever you see an arrow, you can drop it down. Did we find what payload is? Huh? It's like a bomb. Why do you say that? Okay.
Needed to be.
So that could be an interview question, right? If you're gonna say, hey, I want to be your pen tester, I want to be your analyst, I want to be your risk person, what is payload? I hear cybersecurity students talk about this all the time. I don't know if everybody have the right definition. What's payload? So we're saying it's kind of like a bomb. It's like part of data. What is it? Come on, look it up. I'll give you extra credit.
Payload is the body of your request message.
Okay. So why is it important in an attack, you think?
Eating
Okay,
too much can overwhelm the system.
that's correct.
How many extra
And
threads?
also, if they're if they're stuffing the packet, right, your data size is important. So the intention is if you have, you know, request packet, likely that it's similar in size, right? So it's kind of like a trend in the packet. But if you have a packet that looks as an anomaly packet, the payload size is different. So you can examine it from that standpoint. But yeah, you can overwhelm the resource, the destination system that way too. So looking at the information here is important, right? I'm on a different packet now, but let me come back to this. Are we able to find all the information we need? Okay, we're good? All right, good. Okay. Also look at the timestamp when you're an investigator, especially incident response for malware and incidents and breach. Very important that you look at the timestamp, and you want to follow that compensation option for that is also in the later on you're gonna see. So on the lower left pane, you might be able to see the timestamp or even on the general view. Let me see if I can find mine that's on the get and set. I don't have a lot of HTTP stuff on this capture. If you're able to capture HTTP packet itself, because on mine it converts everything to 443. See? And then yeah, let me look at my statistic real quick. You can do statistic and look at specific packet counter. Okay, so I do have 7. So my sequence is frame 36. Not a packet. Timestamp. Yeah, sometimes you have to pick the packet. So the timestamp is often, if you double click it, it will be here. Sometimes it doesn't tell you the exact, but I know for the HTTP, when it serves that, it gives you the time of acknowledgement. So this is, it's already acknowledged. So the time here is the overall is this, but trying to see if I can find a good example for you on mine.
What if traffic, what if my packet is an ARP? I have to go to find.
For the first one,
Yeah,
yeah, that's fine. ARP is okay. But later on, you have to find an HTTP. You have to generate a traffic.
This answer you go to the bridge.
yeah.
This was the TCP.
Yeah.
So, shit.
Those gotta find what they're asking.
Yeah. Is at the bottom.
Okay.
Click on the package. Scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
It'd be right. Okay, TCP package? Yeah.
Yeah, if you expand TCP, once you double click it, it's on the bottom, you see timestamp. Usually it, it's not true to real time. It might say like the stream takes 0.000 seconds. Something like that, or it might put some seconds in there for you. You don't see that? So once you double click the packet expand TCP, which is this. Oh, it doesn't have a timestamp. That's okay. It said not found. So the practice in this is to let you see what the packet looks like if you need to examine. And then you can also play with, you can look at other type of packets. Oh, mine just crashed. I should have saved that. Okay. So any question? And if you see the request, if it shows get, that's a request. If it shows, like additional acknowledgement, that's a request and a response. Okay. So when you look at the packet, HTTP packet, I can get this, let's stop it.
No,
Yeah, mine didn't have that, even though it classifies it as the HTTP packet, but it shows, I'm just recapturing because I just lost the last one I didn't save. Okay. So you can see how many packets is having SYN and F. A good way that you can do this, if you don't want to sit there and count, you can go statistic and then choose HTTP, and then you can go to packet pound counter and then HTTP requests. But the packet counter is going to give you like a summary, right? Here, I know that I have 2 HTTP packets. The response I have is only 1. So, because, sometimes this could be a lot going through like thousands and thousands of packets. So where did I go? I went to statistic at the top, and then I go to HTTP, and then you can go to packet counter. I think I have you do this for the DNS one, and then it shows which one, here's a get, right? So the GET is considered a request because if you look, I'm sorry, yeah, a request packets because that's a one GET. So whenever that you type in the URL and you're connecting, you're trying to access a website, you're trying to get the information. So the HTTP, the web servers is gonna do a GET request there. Any question? So if you have more traffic, if you generate traffic, you would see more. Earlier you saw I have 7 in the last capture, and this one I only have 2. Okay. So that will help you with 13. And then it asks you what type of connection is shown on the packet. When you select the packet, let me see. Okay, what's your last name?
Here, remember,
Okay,
I already submitted my stuff.
all right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Mhm. So as you expand the HTTP packet, if you can view the information, it would show you what kind of connection it is, what kind of user agent information it is. So if you want to gather information, Network Sniffer is pretty good at giving you some information about network connectivity, right? The services they have, the active systems that are being connected. And that's the whole point. And if you're able to find packets that have SYN and ACK, so SYN ACK is part of TCP handshake process, because in order to send, it needs to have acknowledgement, right? But it also, tying back to what we talked about before about SYN flood. Here, see how in the brackets you have ACK. So all the TCP type of packets, it's gonna be either SYN, ACK, or FIN and ACK. That's final. There's one that's SYN ACK right there.
Question, 13B. Does the packet contain HTTP request or HTTP response? Where do I find it?
So if you want the easiest way, if you're using the packet, you can see if it shows a GET, but if not, you can go to statistic.
It does show up.
Yeah, so if it shows GET, then yeah, it's a response.
Response.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Maybe in the future, we'll do an FTP one for this particular exercise, because HTTP is going away.
Yeah,
Oh, because most websites switch over to HTTPS. So if you selected the packet, right, and then you can do analyze. And then it tells you here for number 16, you're gonna click follow the options for the HTTP stream. You have to make sure that you select the HTTP to follow the HTTP stream. See how I don't have that option because I didn't select the HTTP stream. So if you have that grayed out, that just means that you click on a non-HTTP packet. So at this point, I can only follow the TCP stream, which gives me, right? It's still an HTTP packet, as you see. That is the traffic for the cern.h as I visited the site. But on my browser, it has converted the 80 port. It doesn't allow using 80. It's only using 443. So all my website has to be secured.
How did you find those connections?
For the connection type, did you click on the packet?
Did you?
You're doing 16, right? Or 13. So on the lower left pane, if you click, if you have an HTTP arrow, or the arrow next to HTTP, you click on it. Oh, yeah. So keep alive just mean it stays on. Okay, so we talked about SYNAC, right? Actually, yeah, we can do the filter. So next we are gonna do the filter. Because whenever that, what you notice that whenever that I'm selecting something from the menu, it actually put things into the filter, right? You can click the red X to put it back to where it was before. So there's my HTTP, right? Expand, and so on. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the analyze, or I did use the analyze option. I'm gonna use the statistic option, and I'm gonna look at all the UDP stream. UDP is different than TCP, that it just sends, and you know when it gets there, right? So we are gonna look at the multicast stream. So multicast just means that it sends to a group versus unicast that it sends to one system. So for UDP, we're gonna go click on here, and then let's find, I had UDP earlier. Let me see if I actually have UDP. There it is. Right? And then we can click. And then we choose UDP multicast. And this is gonna give me the statistic of the UDP communication. So UDP gets things faster to where it's supposed to be, where TCP needs acknowledgement. So
They want this one that goes or this one?
you can just continue. You have to close. Go to packets. The selected packets, you're gonna click analyze. So you gotta click on one, the HTTP one, and then click analyze.
But now ATP or.
I'm on 18, I'm doing UDP. But if you're on the previous one, you have to select the HTTP and then do the SYN-ACK.
So to analyze, on this,
Yeah, follow the step. Are you at the 16? Yeah, select your HTTP packet, click analyze, and then it has another menu, click follow. And then click HTTP, because you're gonna follow that stream, right?
I don't see it again. Again.
So analyze at the top.
Okay.
At the top.
Oh,
So basically, when you're following that stream, it's gonna give you the information about how many are SYN and how many are ACK and how many are SYN-ACK or FIN-ACK. And then when we did 18 with the statistic, it's gonna show us the information for the multicast. Oops. And then we can look at Wireshark statistic endpoints. So you wanted to see your endpoints, right? Because remember, part of pen testing is to find a way to get in. So we can do statistic. And then endpoints is near the top or before the middle. So basically it tells you these are the systems that are connected, how many packets each of the systems sends, the sizes, and so on. This could also be good for network performance measure. So how many endpoints are shown? You just need to count them.
So like the follow option, and then click on it. So is there a follow up now? Here? Yeah.
So these are the Ethernets. These are the IPv4. These are the IPv6. And then they show you the packets that are sent with TCP and UDP. So when you look at the endpoints, these are the addresses.
Yeah.
So 7, 14, that's 21, 24, 44, 71 for me. So look at the tab value and then sum them up. Those are all the systems that are talking. So add them up. So for me, I add 7 with 14, with 3, with 20, with 27.
Each one in the packet. The group.
Yeah, so for this, it just tells you that this particular packet contains, right? It serves you the OK, which means a global page. The user agent is here, Microsoft. Bits 7.8 here. Your host is the edge, which is your browser. So whenever you visit a site, all of that information is contained in your packet. You said the numbers on a tab to address, those are in the yeah. Yeah, if we sit there and count all the packets and correlate them to IP address, that's a long time. So it does that for us. It tells me that 7 of them are connected on wired, right? 14 of them uses IP version 4. 3 of them uses version 6. 20 of them are sending TCP packets and UDP. And they might be the same. Some of it is overlapping data. That means that Wireshark cannot distinguish, or it doesn't isolate that it's counting the way the program is designed. It could be counting the same system for other things. So is it 100% accurate? No, but we kind of have an idea of how many systems are really communicating or talking, right? So overall, like I know that these are the wired ones. These are using IP versions 4, version 6, TCP and UDP, and I can do something with that, right? So it tells you to click the TCP tab and then the port tab. So
So you see after the input, like there's ACK. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. So SCK is which is acknowledgement, SYN, which is synchronize, or both together. And there is too many, so let's get an estimate right now.
Oh, all of these?
Yeah, there's
So on TCP tab, you have to click on it to see the port. So when you click this, it's gonna sort it for you. So I would see, so you have to be on TCP tab to see this. Click the port and then it's gonna sort it for you. So I can look at from low to high. So I only have this many packets for port 80. And then these many packets for 443. And the size and all of those things. And then these are other ports. So it asks you, it says, how many packets of port 80? So when you look at port 80, this is the packet number right here. And then we can close this. We go to statistic and then do an IO graph. And this is the third component of Wireshark. And I try to hit all three for you today is to give you the visual.
No, not the 80s, but the amount.
So we can graph it, right? And you can also change the setting for this. So if you want to do analysis, these are gonna give you the visual. We're okay? Right. And so that's under statistic and IO graph.
Try to look for some that say SYN. Same part with the ACK is, try to look for one that says SYN or both ACK and SYN. Yeah, try looking.
And then take a screenshot of your graph. Then you're gonna come back to the statistic. You're gonna click on conversation. And then on the UDP tab, conversation, we're gonna look at port B and sort it. Okay, so coming back to Wireshark now, I'm gonna close my IO graph after I take a screenshot and I'm at step 26. Then we're gonna click on statistic on the main, okay? And then click on conversations. So earlier we talked about the bracket, including the conversation of the system communicating back and forth, right? It's like I'm talking to you and you're talking to me and everything's recorded, right? So these are the conversations that it actually captured. There's your system A, which is your source to B, and back and forth. So these two have the most, right? It's for me, your capture might be a little different where I have 1,628 packets between those two. And then it would break down the A to B, the byte size, the packets from B to A, the byte size, and so on. So if you want to really do analysis of system to system communication, you can use the conversation in statistic feature or menu to analyze it. So this would be useful if you're looking at like narrow down your target on the network on, which system are really communicating back and forth the most. So we would follow the conversation here. And then on that, you would see port A. So if you click on the UDP tab within that conversation part, you would see the port information. There's port B. So 53, I know that is a DNS, right? So is port 53 being used? Yes. So anytime you capture traffic, you often see DNS, especially if we're looking at web too, right? So yes. What ports are listed? So I have 53, 137, and then other higher port values. And then you can look at IP version 4 statistic only and IP protocol types. So once I'm done recording the port information from here, I can close this and then go back to Wireshark. And I would do statistic. And which one was it? And then I'm gonna do IP version 4 statistic and IP protocol type. So go down to near the bottom and then protocol type. And it's gonna break it down for you. There's UDP and there's TCP, and these are the counts. So 88% of your traffic, that is common, that you have higher percentage for the UDP compared to TCP. I think in the notes, it's also mentioned that when you're examining these things, you also look at your burst rate, because that can also represent attack characteristics as well. So, and gathering trends, like if I'm comparing my network activity day to day or over the time, I want to build out these analysis for my network performance. And that's going to give you what security people call the baseline, which is the norm in operation, the values that we built upon as foundation from the trends that we gather. So it's good to monitor things and put it into analysis. And so anything that's outstanding above that or below that, we would know that, you know, we have issues. Okay, so we saw with the statistic, you can look at the IP protocol type, TCP traffic, and UDP traffic. And then we're gonna look at the DNS. So we can close this. And then here it gives you the query and the response with the DNS. So the total number of packets, query and the response. The query type that's related to HTTPS, some host addresses, response statistic, and so on. Any question? It's for the query and response. It actually have a section for that. Yeah, I guess you can add them, but it tells you here. I have 14. And so yours, it's already added it here, and then it breaks it down to which is which. So I have one error. There's some, you know, it tracks like no answers, no authorities, and other things. So those things are worthwhile to look into. Then your payload size. Okay. Okay, so the next part is our favorite part, virtual machine. It is your best friend. Okay, so let me switch computer. I could run it on my laptop, but I wanted to simulate it where it's like yours.
What's an endpoint?
It's a system that's connecting to your network. Like your laptop could be an endpoint. I thought I downloaded this earlier, but I didn't. So I just want to make sure I have the document. Okay, so getting Cali. When you click the link, make sure that we use this VirtualBox, not this weekly ones, this one. Okay. If you're using Edge, it's very important, right? So here I am on Edge. When you click this, and this comes up recently, make sure we save, right? You can save it on your desktop or on your download, because if it's gonna try to open after, and then you're gonna run into error for virtual machine. So save it, extract it, and open it. Okay, so if you're using Edge, and this is something, because Edge, it throws it into a temporary folder if you don't save. So you gotta point it to where you wanna save it. And so that way you always have it. Okay. Now, ideally, I would save it onto your desktop computer, and then after that, you can pull the zip folder and put it on your USB for later use or whatever. That's fine. Try not to extract it onto your regular, flash drive that I gave you, because it's not, even though it's 32 gig, it won't handle it. Okay. You need to have like an external hard drive to store virtual machines. So it's a good investment throughout your education career to have an external hard drive, an SSD one or a hybrid one, whatever you want to buy. Black Friday or something, Prime Day or whatever comes up. So once I download it, right, if I save it under my downloads like this, I have it. And for part B, I'm gonna right click, and then I would go show more option, and then 7-zip and extract files. Now at home, some of you write me email and says, I don't have 7-zip. And then when I try to extract it, right, when I choose extract all, it doesn't work for me. So because it's fine. I have many emails that were coming this way, and every time I'm trying to see like, why is it like that, right? Because it's zip in 7-zip, it is easier to unzip it in 7-zip, right? So just think of it that way. Like if you use something to lock it, to open it, you want to use the same application. So we want to use 7-zip. So we want to download 7-zip and then extract it. It's a really simple answer. So yeah, I would recommend using 7-zip. So show more option and then use 7-zip. So what I did for the lab is I tried to note that. So in the future, I would include it in the lab so I don't forget. Yeah, don't be sorry, because those things I need to know, and so that way I can help you fix the problem. It's not a big deal. So we go to part B, download, right? And then extract. And then once you extract it, you have an unzip folder. Open it up, double click, open its subfolder. Click the blue icon VBox to run. In the future, you are going to have to change the settings. Like when we're using an Ethernet or a wireless USB adapter to do a wireless scan, you are going to have to change settings in here. When you add processor and RAM, you can do that here. Okay. So we're going to start the virtual machine, and I hope this reduces. So the biggest challenge for all my classes for cybersecurity this semester is to get through this part. Once you get through this part, everything else is easy, right? So a lot of students get stuck here. So I wanted to make sure that I have the clearer steps. And that helps me help you better. Any question? Okay, so once I click the blue icon and then I click start, it's gonna load. And if you are getting an error there, basically it's just your file's corrupted. So redo the steps, like re-download, save, and extract. Delete what? Yeah, so if you are opening it, it says inaccessible, yeah, delete the extracted folder. I'm thinking that it's possible that it's trying to open from a temp file, which is a zip file. So save your zip file somewhere that you can find and then extract your zip file. Your 7-zip file. Okay. So if you're using Edge like this, right? Like I mentioned before, check your download. Don't click open file, click save as, and then point to the location where you can save it, like downloads or something like that. Or documents. Because it's gonna try to open file and Edge puts it into like Windows app and then temp folder. And if you, it's buried in the hierarchy of the files, the directories. Okay. Any questions? If you need help, I'll come in. Remove that from the library, so that's fine. So right click. Remove. And remove. Look at the folder. Go back to step and see the get this. So this is the zip. Yeah, have to extract. So right click. Go on options, 7-zip. That's fine. Where is that at? Inside this folder? Where did you extract it to? Can you go back a step and show me where the extracted folder is? I see your zip folder. Where's your extracted folder? Right here, right? Okay, double click it. Double click that. Double click the blue. And then stop. So you need to play from the extracted folder, not. Other questions? Okay. We're good. Yay. I tried to slay that monster for a long time. Now I know the root problem to it. So, all right. Okay, so we're gonna do Callie. My cap locks on, sorry. You can close the small little X. Okay, so once you part B, you pass part B, you're gonna open up terminal. You can click the terminal emulator icon, and that's gonna take you to terminal. All right, so first thing we know that we need to do a sudo app update because we're about to run some package. And it's gonna require us to put in Callie. And remember, cursor don't move, just type and press enter because, you know, it's Linux. Then after we finish update, you need to allow your regular user to scan. In Linux, in Kali, Wireshark is already installed for the latest version. You don't need to install it, but if you're using Ubuntu or your Raspberry Pi, you need to install it. So Callie already have it equipped. So we just finished update. We are gonna do a sudo, and you can copy and paste the command, of course. dpkg -recon figure. So we are gonna reconfigure Wireshark -common. This is gonna allow us to allow the regular user to scan. So it asks you here, it says DumpCap is installed to allow members for Wireshark system group to capture the packets. And so for more detailed information, read me. Click OK. Hit tab and then press OK. So whenever that you need to select on these GUI, just press tab, right, to change your option. So it should prompt you this. Should the non-super user able, so your common user, do you want them to scan your network, right? So we are on as Callie. We still have to access it through sudo. So you want to say yes. So make sure that yes is selected and press enter.
We already have the Cali uploaded. In
Yeah.
this file, and I go to the file. Okay, but
What step are you at?
I'm done with this.
Okay, is your Callie on?
I do have one uploaded file.
What do you mean upload? Did you save it on your USB?
I think so.
Okay, so if you're not sure, we're just gonna re-download it. So like this. Press control and click. Try again, not highlighted. Unhighlighted, just click out of it. Yeah. Press control and click.
Click.
There you go. All right, good. Now click this. And then save as, and then put it on your downloads folder. Click downloads here. Yeah, and then click save, and then follow the steps. Yeah, because when you transfer it from your USB to it, might as well just download. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's about the same amount of time. All right, so now, so the first step that you need to do in Callie, if you want to use Wireshark, is to make sure that your user can access it, right? There are ways that you can create users in group and assign to it. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an IP address command. I'm on the next step. Sorry. Double D. So I'm at 47 and IP address. Here's my IP. We've seen that before, and here's my loopback. So you want to note that there. So I have a 127.0.0.1. I know that's a loopback. And then 10.0.2.15. That's your standard IP for Callie. That would help, right? So all this time you guys have to tell me, you're not showing me stuff. Any question? Yeah. Where did you download it to?
Hey, download the PD and go out and learn it. Yeah.
Every time you drive this phone in life,
It's still the same, but
Always do.
I think what it is what extracts here, it's, yeah, it's to that directory. Extract files still is creating the subdirectory. But it still shows it's creating the thing.
You're pushing way out of your comfort zone. Leaving you not wanting to do it.
I'm just following the steps that I want to make sure that works for you. I think it's something.
You're way more
that
now.
Previously, it was exactly like that, it didn't work. And we set a different process. So now.
Yeah, it's
that.
one day. It's one day or day one.
But first, you know why it tells you.
So now,
You know why?
look at file.
Because the same name is in the library. And it doesn't file.
No.
So first you have
So
to.
you go to the folder where it is. So you get personal folder. And you're gonna click on it. Oh, it's already selected. Now you
Now.
select it.
Okay, might have been-
So
Yeah,
it's got how there says strike off.
go back on set, let me see. Because we open,
To right,
so now,
down.
so it was working on this
There you go.
time, what it
So,
is.
First,
a
that goes up,
library.
you look for-
So whenever I run the same machine, I gotta
Click twice.
clear this first. And then
Let it
reload this. It doesn't run.
Then it selects the destination.
You're already in the destination too, so you should be able. Now it's extracting and where did you
So
download?
instead, when it comes in, just extract.
To download and extract it, that's all you gotta do.
Well,
That's it.
oh,
And after that, you start it. You have to enter the folder and press on the blue box, remember? And after that,
so
just
first
also,
we need to clear this, because if something doesn't work, I'm gonna
You
clear
see
it.
it once you
Right,
go over
remove,
and how it's on
it'll only- yeah.
yeah,
section.
I'll tell you right now, yeah.
Now, let's go back to the.
Click that.
Yep.
And then it pops up on the window.
So, okay. Reset, open download. So, your download should be a zip file.
That's the step. Alright,
So let's try that.
we're moving up.
Yeah, something that helped out one of my UTs, computer, was they write down steps. And every time they encounter it, they follow the steps they wrote down.
Yeah.
That way they're already used to knowing what they, yeah. And after doing it for weeks, it became second language.
Do you do tutoring like on the home?
I tutored for here, I'm here for 92. And yeah, I haven't tutored on my own, but I'm open to that.
Do they actually pay?
Yes.
So then I fix that. Go through the screen, yeah.
Yeah, it's free. It's entirely free. And you come in whenever you want. And
Can I ask for you
yes,
specifically?
yeah.
Then I will. No problem. I will, okay, I'll make the time, I'm gonna make the pay.
I get paid regardless of what comes around.
Oh,
So it's just coming out. It's gonna help you out. I'm
Yeah.
92 Monday, Thursday.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah, because I have to figure out what hours will work good for me because,
well, we can go step by step, follow this file.
yeah,
And
because the information is given, which is the license. And you
it's all
how extra time
So-
given to me. You know, if I have.
That thing is like, you can easily represent.
okay, don't have to worry.
But you know what I mean?
I don't tell
I'm the type of person. You know,
Yeah, so the
I really-
part is how you extract. Because if you use the Windows
I've
extract
seen
tool,
that
it
from
doesn't
before. I
necessarily.
still am. It's other things, obviously, but.
Yeah,
So when you,
You're looking to someone, you're helping out someone else.
yeah, yeah.
so with 70,
So,
it might have
you-
modified.
it
the
opened up the
parameters
folder.
way, so
Once
if
it's
you
extracted, so go in there.
Now go here.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Double
work.
click.
Yeah.
So now it forces you to use the
So I
summon
can
zip
move it,
file,
move on.
application. Okay, we still have a little bit to go. All right, so we got the IP address. Now we are going to call on Wireshark. So you just do a Wireshark command. And it's gonna load because it's already installed, right? Now, VirtualBox, even if you run this on your laptop, it's gonna know it as F0. That's mean the first Ethernet interface on your system, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna select this, you're gonna click start. But we might not see anything here, so let's generate some traffic for it, right? So I have you go in and do the same thing. So open up Firefox.
Give it a second.
Yeah, it's gonna take a second, and then what you're gonna do is you can go to a website, right? Like you can go to this, so copy this,
You grab from the top.
and then go to your virtual machine and then paste it onto, open a tab and then paste it there. And then open another tab and then you can go to wireshark.org.
Yes. Can we get as big as you want, or if you grab it from the top?
Oh,
and we'll
sorry,
hold
I
it like-
typed it so wrong.
Yeah.
So you gotta generate traffic for it to see it going, right? So once you have done that,
Go down. Like it.
leave it for a minute, and then you can hit
Right
stop.
there, right there.
Take a screenshot. So what did I do? I do this, actually, before the screenshot, you can do the
Right
IP
there,
address.
Put it in the middle of screen.
Sorry,
Can you see this?
I have a typo here. I apologize. I should have fixed this sooner.
From, yeah, from where they were. And take it to the middle of the screen. and press-
So we can filter, we can do IP dot, see how it gives me the template down here when I type it? ADDR, and then you're gonna do a double equal, and then your IP address, 10.0.2.15. And once it's good, it accepts it, it's gonna go green, you can press enter or click the arrow.
But the middle of the screen over here.
And what we're doing is we're filtering our traffic only, our computer traffic only. Okay,
Drag it down.
so earlier,
That's where-
Gabriel asked me, can you just look at one system? That one system that's your target.
And.
Well, you need to capture everybody. It's kind of like we use a camera to record everybody, but we're gonna zoom in on that one system by filtering IP address. And I have a typo on that. That's not a dot. It's a double equal sign for 54. Okay, sorry. I was in a hurry, or sometimes I'm sleeping and I just type weird things. So sorry.
I don't know how you do it, man, to be honest.
I try not to be till up till 3 or 4 anymore, so my cutoff now is 1 AM in the morning. So yeah, so when you do the filter after you, so you need to generate traffic by visiting the website, like what we did earlier on Windows, but on your virtual machine. So just use Firefox, right? I went here, opened this up, and then I type in the URL, or I copy and paste it, open another tab and type in wireshark.org. And you have to do this while Wireshark is running. After you click the blue fin, you're gonna generate traffic so you can see. It's gonna record it, and then you're gonna filter IP.addr equal your IP address. We don't want to use the loopback here because we want to use the actual address that other systems see us as, right? Not how we see ourselves. Take a screenshot. And then just like what you did on, and so if you don't see the icon, expand your virtual machine and you should see your little Wireshark here. So you can come back to it. Sometime it puts it in the behind window and you can expand that out. I think I have to re-record this lap because I forgot to screen share earlier. But at least you guys see this. Anyway, give me a second. Sorry, I'm just gonna try to get the last part in. So share from here. And then share screen. Okay, that's better. That's what I wanted. Okay, so now, so I have my Wireshark. I stopped it, I filtered it, screenshot this, right? And then if I want to come back to terminal, if you expand your virtual machine, you would see these little icons here. You would click on it and there's your terminal. Okay. Then coming back to the terminal. Oh, I'm sorry. In the Wireshark, we're gonna answer these questions. How many packets were captured? What is the so we're gonna do the statistic tab again, just like what we did. So on here, you go to statistic, and then you're gonna do DNS, right? And for me, just now, when I did the capturing with the websites that I visited, I have 248 packets that was captured. We saw this before on the Windows side. So I wanted to show you that it's the same thing on Linux. It just needs a little bit of setup, like one step at the beginning.
Probably based it.
Okay? So whatever that you did before, you could do the same thing at that point because the application has the graphical user interface. So once you click statistic and DNS, you see this information, you would answer. How many packets, service statistic, and then your maximum and average payload. And then you can save a scan. So let's say that I wanted to come back to this and look at it again. So what I can do is when you click close, it's going to prompt you this and you just click save and then give it a name, scan 1. Or normally by practice, I normally would put, you know, some information about that network and then the date. Like you can do like 02/22/2024. So that way you know which day you scan and what network, right? But I have you save it as scan 1 and we finish part C. The last part's very quick. So I just want to explain it. Any question? Okay, so in this, we are going to also learn how to do Netdiscover. And Netdiscover is, we can use it in Linux for active or passive recon. I'm going to show you how you can use the option for that. It is mostly used for wireless network without DHCP server. So earlier, remember we talked about DHCP Snoop? This is a good tool for that, right? So if you have, this is really good for things like home networks or wireless completely network because likely that they would use the wireless router as the DHCP server, right? At home, when you connect, you just get an IP address from your wireless router. So Netdiscover is good for that, right? These are the things that, you know, so it's really made for war driving. Back in the day, people used to walk around the neighborhood or drive around, right? Hence the term war driving, and find open public network to gather information. And I think they still do that. So whenever that you go outside and you see the curb that's marked with an X or some kind of symbol, someone is war driving in your neighborhood. Right? I've seen that near my neighborhood when I used to walk my dog. So, what we're going to do is we are going to use this tool to inspect your ARP traffic, right? Address resolution protocol. What did we learn about that? IP to MAC, right? Your network address to your system address. So we are going to find it for using the scan. It says that it uses OUI table to show the vendor of each MAC address, right? That's important. In my 27 class, we kind of look, we know that MAC addresses are given in range to vendor. So for example, when I buy a Dell computer, it has a network adapter built onto the motherboard. Possible that, you know, the Alienwares would have a wireless adapter also built onto the motherboard. So the manufacturer for the motherboard for Dell actually get a range of MAC address that they would use for those devices. The adapter, the interface, right? The wireless and the wired, which is your Ethernet. And with that, it's coded with the ID for that vendor. So that can be discovered for security checks, right? So that would be useful. Okay, so in your Linux, Kali Linux, we are going to do a Netdiscover, and Kali Linux has this installed, right? Other Linux doesn't, depending on the release you're using. So we're gonna do a Netdiscover -H. So this is gonna give you the option for help. So when we're using a -I, we're looking at the device on the network. And after the I, you're gonna see that we have to put in the IP address, the network address of that device. When you're using a -R, it's just a network range. So I can say that segment of the network I'm gonna scan, right? Or I wanted to have the entire network scan. So I want to use a network IP with the -R and the CIDR. So the slashes here are called CIDR. That just represent like a certain number of subnet in that particular network. Okay, a lot of time that's represented segments. And then I can do a -P for a passive mode. So that way it's only sniffing, it's not sending anything. Remember we talked about active and passive, so you can do it in 2 modes. The other options are gonna do an active mode, and the -P is a passive mode. So look at your list, and then a -L, right? I meant to do a step with this and I had forgotten, but you can also list the ranges from a file. Like, let's say that I created a text file and then I can set up a range of IP addresses so it's convenient. So you can do that. All right. So look at the help option because we're going to use this. So now what we're going to do is we are going to
There's 2, one after.
We're going to sudo this. You must be at root privilege for Netdiscover. A lot of these things, because you're using the interface, you have to have higher privilege. So we're going to do a sudo Netdiscover -I. That's your interface or your device, right? And then you're going to say that it's going to listen from F0, just like Wireshark. You have to tell it which device is listening. And then the IP address range you're gonna use, we are gonna use our range, which is 10.0.2.0. Why am I not using 15 here? Network people. I'm sorry. I'm typing 15. Why am I not using 10.0.2.15? I'm sorry? Yeah, because I'm using a network address, right? So when you're looking at a range, so let's think about your zip code. I'm not looking at 92551, right? I'm just looking at that region that has multiple zip code, right? So the same thing with the network. You're looking at a network address, it's just containing many zip codes, right? Many little systems that's within. So you would use a 0 and you would use a CIDR that would represent how many subnets within, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and press that. It's gonna ask me for the password again because I'm escalating my privilege. So we're gonna do a Kali password, right? You gotta give it time to build this, okay? So I'm gonna have the same talk in this class as in the other class, because some of you were not in the other class. Yesterday, they were like, what? We have to wait more than 20 minutes for the scan? Dr. Wynn, I don't have time for that, right? And I'm gonna tell them that in this type of industry, you have to make time, right? Sometimes it takes minutes, but the other times it's gonna take hours and days and months. So we are going to give it some time, but for the sake of the lab, yes, you can cancel, but you might not see the complete result. Because last night we were trying to build out in 41A, you took that class, right? Some scan takes a long time.
Yeah.
And then they were running the Kali IntelliSuite, which uses like 10 tools at once. And then they cancel it. So it didn't populate the database, so it generates a bunch of error for all the subsequent commands. But some of the tools went away, and I'm so disappointed in Cali that they had modified some of these things. But anyway, it worked and it didn't work, so now I gotta fix some of the problem, but give yourself time to do these things, right? Forensic, incident response, gathering information. So here, I'm not gonna get a lot. I'm just gonna get these, okay? So take a screenshot and it asks you, what kind of information is being displayed? What do you see? I see IP address, right? Because it's ARP, I see associated MAC address, which is the physical address of that system, right? The system address. And then it tells me, unfortunately, this one, it didn't say the vendor name. So sometimes it recognizes, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so the MAC vendor, the count for the ARP packets, it tells you here 4 captured ARP requests and response packets from 3 hosts. So it summarizes as well. 40 captured ARP request packets from 3 hosts. It might not, so sometimes it's short like this, but in a larger network, you know that it's going to be a lot more. Because we're just looking at a smaller. So at home, you can try this. But your IP address will be like 192.168.0. whatever. .0.0, or you can put in a range. .1. Or with the cider. Okay. And I forgot to ask you, but try to put down the things that you learned by doing the lab, the tools that you've used, so that way you can come back to it, practice it, and then be able to, let your employer know or the interviewer know what kind of tools you use.
And
Any questions? So today we learned how to use Wireshark on Windows and Linux. We know how to examine the packets, different type of protocols, right? We analyze the packets with the protocol. We use statistic feature on Wireshark. And then we ran Wireshark on Linux, Kali Linux. We also use Netdiscover, and that wrap up my network monitoring exercise for you. Okay, I'll save some other stuff for the wireless part later because I added some other components on here, but I removed it because I feel like we can do more attack stuff in the next couple of chapters. Okay, let me stop recording.